Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and most of you know, but that's because I make it that way. I get up in the morning, I decide it's going to be a groovy day, and guess what? The rest of my day usually turns out pretty groovy. Something might happen, something might change, but I can always think back. I start out groovy, I can turn this around, and it works like magic. You too can try it. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And as always, I have my co-host on with me today, Jackie Bailey. And Jackie is, well, she's the communication teacher queen. I forgot what I was going to say. Hi, Jackie.
Hello. I guess I'm the teacher. I don't know if I'm a queen, but yes, I'm the international conversation coach.
I think all women inside their hearts are queens.
Sure, of course, yes, but that's only kings.
That's what it's all about. So tell us a little bit about the Speak Feed Lead project. You've got lots going on. You got classes going on. Give us the gist of it, though. What is it? What is the mission of Speak Feed Lead project?
Oh, the mission of the Speak Feed Lead project, and thank you for that question, is to empower the voices of our young people. They have been silenced and are still silenced in so many ways. In fact, I was reading some statistics recently that in 2020, which is a recent statistics that we have in the United States, that a little over 1,700 kids were killed through abuse, but 600,000 cases of abuse were reported. That means more than 500,000 kids are silenced. They don't die from abuse, thank goodness, but they're still silenced. They're told not to tell, or they're told to lie about what's happening to them. And when you're silenced like that, you have nowhere to go, because the people who love you the most are the ones who are hurting you in many cases. So what we set out to do is to give kids a voice, to give them a platform to speak about what they truly find joy in, to share their frustrations and their challenges, and freely be able to inspire others through their own stories. And it's not just enough to have the skills, but I am so proud and delighted to say that we are putting these kids on stages. Yeah. And they're getting out there to speak. They're developing their own podcasts. They're getting on summits, and they're speaking to global audiences. They're now working on getting on some TED stages that are coming up. And this is the way we're going to develop leaders, which we so desperately need throughout the world. They need to feel confident now, and then they will be fantastic leaders later. So.
Well, I think it's also important because through your instruction, through the practice, through the process, they begin to understand their passion too, right? And can share that passion with others, because what I know about passion is infectious. And once you begin to portray that and put it out there, well, I'll just say it, you develop a following, or you put the spark in others.
Yeah, it's very true. In fact, this just came to mind, and I hadn't put two and two together until just now. One of our students was in the car with her mom, as a lot of typical teenagers are from time to time. And her mom said something about, maybe you should look into this. I think it was AI ethics as a career. And because the young woman heard it from her mom, she was like, yeah, right, mom. Mom has no credibility, right? But it wasn't but a few weeks later when this thought kept gnawing at her, AI ethics. And she started to realize that she was actually excited about something like that. And then when I invited her to speak on a summit about something she wanted to talk about, she said, could I talk about AI ethics? And I said, of course. And
That gave
she
me
then
chicken skin. Look at
started working on that message. And now she gives her mom the credit that her mom deserves for putting that little spark of passion inside of her, because now it is a true passion, and she's putting that message out there on global summits. And so it's little things like that. Sometimes parents don't get the credit for it, but what's most important is that kids find their passion and something that drives them and keeps them wanting to be here, because so many of them are taking their lives because they don't have a purpose. So if it's something like that that will make this young woman decide that she needs to stay here because she's got a reason to, that's the ultimate goal there.
you are a master of segues too, because I have a feeling that's what our guest is going to be talking to us about today, is being able to plant those seeds and that spark and
Yep.
and develop that early on in her age. I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net. You can go there. Any links that we talk about, we have links there already to our guest and her book. Spoiler alert, today is her launch date for her book. Isn't that cool? On Life Mastery Radio. Yeah.
They all light up. Yay.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. But while you're there visiting that show page, there's her book right there. Yay, The Power of PR Parenting. You can sign up for our newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter once a week, and it highlights who's coming on the show, who's been on the show, and a blog post about the most recent show. And you can stay in tune with all things Life Mastery. And that's the only thing. We use that email address. Sign up, you get the newsletter, and that's it. No other spam, shall we say.
Right. We're good about that.
We're good about that. We don't do that. And let's see. So today's show guest is brought to you by Jackie Bailey. That means she has the introduction. So take it away, Jackie.
Yeah, I'm excited to say that Margie is a recent colleague of mine and connection that was made, and happy to have her on the show and share her genius with you. So I'm going to try to say her name as best as I can because she's coming to us all the way from Israel. So this is Marjie Hadad, and she's an award-winning TV producer, veteran publicist, and master storyteller. She also leads Must Have Communications Limited, which is a full-service international boutique public relations consulting firm with a specialty in medical and technology PR. Margie is also, as of today, officially the author of a new book, The Power of PR Parenting, which is an essential read for every working parent in and outside of their home. It offers step-by-step with humor, straight talk. Margie shows parents how to use strategic public relations techniques to help their child, one, develop superior writing, language, and presentation skills. I love that about her. Build self-confidence, self-love, resilience, respect, and tolerance, and deal with bullies and sexual predators online and on the street, which I also love about her. So welcome to Life Mastery Radio, Marjie Hadad. Yay!
Toda rabah. Thank you very much. What a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. And it's great to be with you, Jackie and Todd. You're right. It's the international launch of my debut book, The Power of PR Parenting: How to Raise Confident, Resilient, and Successful Children Using Public Relations Strategies. And it's been a heck of a day.
Yes, I attended her launch party a little earlier today until I had to leave for another meeting, and so I have my celebration sticks. Look how they light up and everything.
Okay, if I can, I know that we're on Facebook Live, but I'm still drinking my champagne, everybody. and I have a whole bottle. Who wants to share with me?
a virtual glass of champagne. Go for it.
May I offer a toast to Margie and her fabulous new voice into the world that is going to empower children and help parents to be more engaging with their kids in new and powerful ways. So congratulations to you, my friend, and best to you always. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
I am. Thank you so much. That's great.
Woohoo!
So Margie,
said-
did I get it right? What did you think of that story that Jackie told? Inadvertently, she put the fire in a person that's now probably going to be an advocate for something that is so important to our society today. And it was just, off the hand, an off the hand comment.
Look, one thing we can know for sure, because it's all happened to us, is that whatever our parents and our grandparents and our teachers and our coaches said to us at some point, we took into our heart and we stored it.
Mhm.
Everything we say to our kids, therefore, they take into their heart and they store it. Now, they may not let you know that right away, but it's there. So if you constantly tell your kids how fabulous they are, eventually it's going to stick. If you constantly instill positive energy in your child with something as simple as a hug, if they'll let you give them a hug, or a wink, or a smile, or a well done, that's going to stick with them. Just like we know the bad stuff, we hold on to it. And if we hear it enough times, we start to think it. It's the same difference with the positive stuff. So what happened with this teenager that Jackie was describing earlier, her mother made a passing comment and let it settle. And it settled in a way that the child thought about it and then decided it was for her, because there wasn't any pushing, but there was just sharing, and sharing in a positive way, which gave this teenager the control to make her own decision whether she wanted to exercise this idea or not.
Mhm.
A lot of that has, we want our children to feel in control. There's nothing worse. We hate it when we're out of control.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the term control freak comes from, because sometimes people need even extra control,
Yeah.
and kids are no different. And when they feel that they're not in control, then there's a spiral. So what this woman did with her child was actually really excellent. Just sharing information, let the child have control, all positive energy, and then she went with it, which was really, really great.
And
Well,
no
now have
pushing,
you-
right?
Yeah, no pushing.
No pushing.
Well, you can remind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like in public relations, you send a pitch and then you wait enough time and then you send like a gentle reminder.
There's something I learned too, and I use it with my employees, is I'll just say, I think you'd be really good at tackling this problem. What do you think? And then
Mm.
might not get a comment right away, but eventually.
That's right. Eventually. And it's really interesting. In PR, and even with the presentation skills that Jackie teaches the kids, when you're presenting, you have to keep in mind who you're presenting to.
Who's the audience?
Mhm.
Who is your target market? Who is your audience? What are your key messages that you want to share with this target audience, so that you can choose language and a form and tone of delivery, so that hopefully they receive this message that you want to send the way that you intend to
Mhm.
send it and to have it received. So at a young age, with Jackie's help, these teenagers are learning to communicate and advocate for themselves through communications practices, which is something that we do all the time in public relations, and that, frankly speaking, any parent can help their child to practice with positive reinforcement. So what do I mean by that? If your child does a first run on something and just practices, always comment on what they did right first. Then show them, give them an example of how you would like them to do the other stuff. There's no reason to go back and show them what they did wrong. They already know what they did wrong. or what they want to improve.
Mhm.
And by the way, there's no such thing as the perfect first run. Not for a teenager, not for a CEO, not for any of us. That's what the first run's about, to make all your mistakes so that when you get to showtime, you're ready to go.
Right.
And the other key point is that we really don't care if we use different words when we practice, because you can say and share the same exact message in 10 different word choice ways. What's important is that the key message is delivered in a way that's comfortable. So not to get hung up on the words, just get hung up on the message.
I learned that a really cool way in an organization both Jackie and I belong to, which is Toastmasters. And I learned it like this, that there's the speech that you write, there's the speech that you deliver, and then there's the speech that you think about on the way home.
So let me give you an example. I had a book launch party that Jackie attended earlier today. I'm going to show you something now that you bring it up. No one's seen this. This is the first ever.
How exciting.
Okay. Here are my show notes for my party. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this is basically what I had planned to say.
Mhm.
And what I did was I bolded the topics so that if I forgot something, I could just glance down to see the topic to make sure I didn't forget anything in the topic. And then I went through it a couple times. I never actually read it out loud. But what I did do is I practiced on Zoom delivering it different ways. Now, when the party came, honest to God, I don't remember what I said anymore. But I'm assuming it had something to do with this.
That's happened to me so many times, Margie. I'd be presenting on a stage and really getting in the groove, right? And speaking from that home place. And people would come up to me afterwards and say, man, I really liked what you said about this or that. And I'd have to look down or not look down, but look at them and say, remind me what I said, because I don't remember.
I don't know the exact words that I said. I'm pretty sure I got my key messages out. The truth of the matter is that my children spoke at my launch party today.
Yeah.
And I was infinitely proud of all three of them and at how articulate they are.
Absolutely. I will tell you that as well. Those of you that were not there, I also heard Margie's children speak. Beautiful children, first of all. And as she said, very articulate, very professional, authentic, beautiful voices. I enjoyed hearing from them. And they are a great example of the work that she's putting out into the world, because they are her children and live by the principles that she's taught them. So congratulations on that, Margie.
Thank you. They were really good sports, because when we started this project, I couldn't have written the book without their permission. It's our stories.
Right.
And we get into all those challenges that teenagers go through and little kids go through. So I asked them, can I share the story? And then after I wrote the first draft, I said, is this okay with you?
Nice.
And they all read it. They all approved it. And my older son, my son and my older daughter have got son, boy, girl. So the older two wrote the foreword to the book. So if anybody had any question whether the kids had seen it or not, there you go.
Yeah.
And I was just really, really proud of them. Listen, we're like every other family, and we're not the Brady Bunch. We're not the perfect family by any stretch of the imagination. We have hiccups just like everybody else.
You mean all of your problems aren't solved in 30 minutes?
No, we're not an episode. Here's a story.
Yeah.
I'm married for, gosh, how long? I've been with my husband for 28 years now. And we're married for coming up on 27. So
Jackie, how long has it been?
40 years.
wow. Would you get married when you were 1? You're so young.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was a child bride at the age of 3. No.
Clearly. Yeah. So it was a really good night, and between you and me and everybody else listening out there, what I was really excited about, in addition to their key messaging and what they had said, which I wasn't expecting because they didn't practice and I didn't script them. This was completely um, spontaneous, and but no stuttering.
Yeah, it was awesome. I noticed that your husband looked like he was reading. Maybe he had written a script out for himself, which is funny because my husband did something similar for me. I wanted him to put out a little video about something I was doing, and he wrote a script and kept running it by me. Is this okay? Is this okay? I'm like, can't you just speak from your heart? He said, no, I want to make sure that I get all of the words just right.
That's the attachment to every word. Every word has to be
Yeah.
portrayed just like it's written. I got to make sure I
Rule rule number 1 of a happy marriage: do not media train your spouse. No, just no. He wants to read from a paper, all good. The fact that he actually read, because my husband doesn't like the spotlight,
Mm,
and the fact that he also approved the book was huge.
yeah.
And the first chapter is mostly about him. He's the sandwiched part of it. When you read it, I don't want to have any spoiler alerts, but we had a massive crisis in our family a few years back. And thank God we were able to overcome it, and everything's
Mm.
okay now. But it was touch and go. And so the fact that my husband approved sharing his story was absolutely incredible. And for him to join and actually speak in front of a camera, you don't know how big that is. It was
Mm,
huge.
yeah, cool.
If it were a
Well,
perfect world, Margie, we wouldn't be here.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it a more perfect world.
Or at least I heavy emphasis on try, right?
Well, you know something, Todd and Jackie, you can't make it takes more than one person to make a perfect world and to even try in the first place. You can have a leader of a movement like this PR parenting movement I'm trying to get off the ground today with the launch of the book. The book is the tool, the workbook is the tool, but the movement is the actual exercising of these strategies. And we have to work together as a community, as a big old village. You know, they say it takes a village to move a mountain. Okay, so we need to have a global village where we're all getting in on it and teaching our kids to be confident and resilient and have high self-esteem and have an enormous quantity of self-love. So when they walk into any room, they feel so confident about themselves. And when you feel good about yourself, then you are more inclined to take a look at somebody who might be different than you and say, okay, that's cool. Tell me more about that. As opposed to, oh, you're different. That's horrible. No,
I don't want to hear
celebrate
it.
diversity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the book and some of the, I think there's 10 chapters.
True.
10 chapters, and you have many examples, but one of the examples that caught my attention was when your children were very little, and instead of just putting the tooth under the pillow, you actually sat them down and had them write a request from the tooth fairy. I mean, what better way to start a person in understanding their thoughts and ideas and getting them on paper?
Look, everything is an opportunity for a writing assignment in my house. even honestly, even text messages, everything counts.
Yeah.
So listen, in first grade, we learn to put a sentence together, right? Subject, verb, direct object.
The dog chased the cat.
Yeah, something like that. And it's also the time that your baby teeth start to fall out. So I thought, let's write a letter to the tooth fairy instead of just sticking the tooth underneath the pillow. So this was an opportunity to have the kids in a positive way draft a letter advocating for themselves and asking for something specific. And as they were doing this, because they felt that if they wrote the letter to the tooth fairy, they would actually get what they wanted. So they they practiced their sentence construction, they practiced their handwriting. And I would sit with them and I would help them with content and with spelling if they asked me. And then after they were finished their letter, I'd say, okay, let's look at this together. And then I would take a nice color, never red because that's fire engine angry. And I always hated when somebody marked up my paper in red. It really, really upset me. And everybody I know, when they see a red, something come back all marked up in red, they go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. They start freaking out. So I would take like a pink or green, I don't know, whatever, some pastel color that I happen to pick up. And I would say, this is a great first draft, knowing that there's no such thing as the perfect draft, not even adulthood. This is a great first draft. And then I would identify something that I would want to bring to their attention. I'd say, you know what, this is one way to do it. Is it okay if I show you another? And they say, okay, show me another. And they didn't arch their back because I wasn't attacking.
Right.
There was nothing negative about it. Just let me show you another. There's all
Or
sorts
critical.
of ways, right?
You weren't critical.
So I would show them another. And by the time we were done with the edit, the paper may or may not have been very colorful, but with pretty colors. And then it was time to make the letter, rewrite the letter to make it nice for the tooth fairy, clean, so that she could understand, you know? So again, it's the whole assignment all over again, where they get to change something. If they say, you know what, Mom, is it okay if instead of I ask for money, can I ask for a milk chocolate bar? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever you want. You know, I'm thinking, do I have milk chocolate at home? So yeah,
Mary's
great.
all
Or,
out of milk chocolate.
yeah, if I'm out of milk chocolate, I'm like, you know what, you probably should stick to money because she's got a lot of kids to go and she doesn't, she may or may not have time to go to the supermarket.
All right.
So, and then they would rewrite it and put it in an envelope and with the tooth, and that's what went under the pillow. Now this went on, I have 3 kids. Okay. They're 8 years separated from the oldest to the youngest. This went on for years. Long after they knew that Mom and Dad were probably, no, they were definitely the tooth fairy. So, but it was a fun assignment. And like I say in the book, I would love to share with you the letters that my children wrote, but it's between them and the tooth fairy.
So what do you think your children learned by doing that, aside from your coaching to help them be more eloquent in their messaging? What else do you think they learned by doing this?
They learned that it's okay to get feedback. They learn that if somebody wants to give them a suggestion, it's okay. It doesn't mean they did anything wrong. It just means it's another way to do it.
Yeah.
And to be able to accept what some people would call criticism, I'm going to call it feedback.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly okay. The other thing that it taught them was how to advocate for themselves in writing.
That's what I was looking for. That I think is
There were
really
2 things, 2 very important things in terms of social skills.
That's a big deal. I mean, being able to stand up for yourself, or at least negotiate your side of the story. I know I experienced that with my 3 daughters. My youngest daughter, because she had 2 older daughters, had the roughest time making a decision for herself, right? Because she always had the other 2 to decide for her. And, you know, when the other 2 went off to college, I was teaching her to drive, and man, was it a challenge, because decision-making wasn't part of a deep skill that she had.
Yeah.
Yes, there also comes a point where if you can see that they have the ability and they ask you to do it for them.
Yeah. Well, they learn that, right? In an environment like that, they learn that it's much easier to ask somebody else than to do it themselves.
Correct. they all were taught to hone their telephone skills, because that's a very important communication skill too. We're always, who's not on the phone half the time during the day?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pick up the telephone and call somebody you don't know.
Yeah,
Shiver,
in fact,
shiver.
that was one of my students told me that was the most frightening thing for her to have to do, was to call a store about fixing her skis. She puts her skis in for repair, and she
Mhm.
was responsible to call them and ask them about the repair. And she said that was frightening to me to have to do that.
I understand her. I totally understand her. I had the same fear as a kid.
Yeah.
And we may or may not like calling somebody that we don't know, but regardless, we need to learn how to do it.
Hmm.
So that was also an exercise in the house.
Yeah.
Being
And
able to
advocate for ourselves too, right? Because you can call somebody and you're just asking general questions, but you might not be getting the answer that you need to feel complete about whatever transaction it is that you're involved in.
correct. So how do you go about that? What key messages do you share in order to achieve your goal?
Yeah. Margie, do you think there was a little bit of your children also learning through that exercise that there's always a give and take in something? They're giving their tooth, but they're asking for something back from that. And maybe there was even a sense of gratitude for getting something back for what they're giving. Do you feel that
Well,
was
that's
part of that
that's an
exercise?
exchange. I mean, it's like with the
Yeah.
little kid when you take something out of their hand, like when they hand something to you, you have to hand it right back to them.
Mm,
That's just the rule. And like in business, sometimes we're paid in cash with money, and sometimes you might not be able to agree on the cash, so you barter. I'll give you this.
that's where I'll go with the chocolate again.
You go with the chocolate
You
again.
can't
There
pay
you
me in
go.
cash, I'll take the chocolate.
Right. That's right. So it's a barter.
Mhm.
And that's actually something else that we address in the book, is how to deal with another very important rite of passage when the kids are little, through the barter practice,
Mm,
so that you're not just giving up and being traumatized, but you actually are compensated and can appreciate the value of the transaction.
yeah.
Of a trade. Well, so we want to make sure we get this out there, that your book is not age specific and it's not topic specific. So is there another exercise or another story that comes to mind that you can share with us, what somebody might get out of your book?
Well, the earliest stories are during when the kids are babies.
Hmm.
The very first story is a public relations practice that I used to help me with separation anxiety when I would drop my baby off at the kindergarten. I mean, 6 months old, you know?
Wow.
I mean, every mother or father, your heart's just gonna drop.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? So I'm going to teach you a way you can do that with a PR practice. And it goes all the way through to university admission. Because let's see, my kids are in their 20s now, folks. So what you're going through, been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm at halftime. I've got the benefit of 25 years of retrospective, and I'm sharing it with you in this book. So what are the topics? There's the heavy stuff like crisis management, if it's health crisis, bullying, sexual assault, terrorism,
Mm.
assault. And then there's the light stuff, like how do you instill self-esteem through performance and public speaking, and the really fun stuff. Party planning. One of the things that I introduce is, if you have a party coming up, the actual planning of the party is a really good exercise to help teach your kids organizational skills, resilience, and self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the actual party itself is a whole nother exercise in terms of performance and presentation, depending
And
on
and
whether
detachment might be a little detachment in there because it didn't go the way that you planned it would go, right?
oh, like we said, the only one who knows that you messed up is you. Everybody in the
Exactly.
audience to know the difference,
Right.
So just roll with it. So we walk through all these different things in the 10 chapters, and I'll tell you where these came from. They're not random. From the very start, I wanted to help. So I spoke with a bunch of moms with different age kids, and I said, what do you want to know? What do you, light stuff to heavy stuff? What are you having trouble with? What would you like a fresh idea? And after this discussion, that's where the 10 topics for the 10 chapters were born. And then it was just a matter of what stories I wanted to share. And then I'll show you through professional and personal stories what I did. Then I'm going to give you an exercise so that you could use the same strategy in your own world. You make your own decisions. What works in my community may not work in yours, but the questions are the same. So I'm not a parenting expert and I'm not a psychologist. I'm a PR expert. And what this book does is it gives you a brand new approach, a brand new way of seeing things, and a new lens to look through when addressing a challenge, even if it's a fun challenge. Like, how do I get my kid to sing louder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I get them to do the dishes?
Yeah.
Something like that. How do I get them to make sure that they go to school on time? And we go into all those different things with the public relations strategies. Like I said, been there, seen it, done it. Borrow a page from my book, mirror my successes, skip the failures.
Yes.
I'll show
No,
you
we
what
always
not to do too.
And
Marjie.
you too could get a t-shirt.
So Margie, you've been in public relations for a long time, probably before you had kids, yes?
True, 30 years, Jackie.
Okay. So when you became a parent, did you naturally start parenting with the PR modules that you knew, or did you look back on it later and go, oh my gosh, do you know how I've been parenting? I've been using the same principles I use in PR. Was there a moment early or later when you realized that's what you were doing?
I didn't realize it until 2 years ago.
There you go. Okay, I love that.
Years ago, I was sitting with my older daughter on the couch in our living room, and we were just, messing around. And she was telling me about this Army friend of hers who had just gotten married. And my daughter was, my children were in the IDF and Israeli Defense Force. It's mandatory here to go into the service. And so she was talking with one of her friends who had just gotten married and wanted to have children, but she also wanted to pursue her academic and career ambitions. And she was very concerned she wouldn't be able to juggle everything. And she looked at her and said, what are you talking about? My mother's been doing this for 25 years. And then she looked at me and said, Mom, that's it. You should write a book to help the next generation of moms have an easier time parenting based on your experience and expertise. You made mistakes, but overall you got it right. And I was like, wow. So after I picked my jaw up off of the floor, because I really wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And like this teenager you talked about at the beginning of the program, I took a couple of days to let it sink in. And I thought, what is it that I actually got right? And Jackie, that's the answer to your question. That's when I understood that I'd used my professional skill set naturally without even knowing it to raise my kids, because that's what I do at the office and that's what I did at home. But
Yeah.
this is a message for everybody out there who's watching or listening. This is a big picture message to all of you that we don't need to separate our professional superpowers. Why should work be the only ones to benefit from it?
Mm-hmm.
Leave the drama at the office, but bring your skill sets home to teach your kids. Whether they're good at it or not makes no difference. At least they have some exposure to it. And if they're not good at it, no big deal. Well done, good first try, always positive, but at least they had the experience, and have them benefit from your superpowers.
Mm.
So no matter what it is, and I promise you might be saying, oh, well, I have no superpowers. Guess what? You have a superpower.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure you
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So what are some PR principles then that you that you've used for years that now you realize have been part of your parenting plan as well?
Ultimately, I think it is every single day. I think about what I'm going to say before I say it. I think about who I'm going to say it to and what the goal is that I want to achieve in doing
When
it.
it's a-
Mm,
Going back to something that we stated earlier, that's something we do every day. When the moment we wake up, we're doing PR with ourselves.
Mhm.
What do we say to ourselves in the morning? And then we start to have interaction. All communication is public relations. It's just PR at home on a smaller scale.
Mhm.
And in PR, this is also very important and something that I use on a daily basis over and over again. With my clients, I always try to help to show them the way and to do so positively. And that's the same practice I try, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much, but I do try at home. And if we can keep it positive and lead by example, including using our own superpowers, then that helps to instill self-esteem and
Mhm.
confidence and resilience in our kids. And if they can adopt a high level of self-love, then that's going to translate into respect for their fellow person. And if everybody's
themselves.
doing that, just think about how much nicer everybody would be to each other and how much of a nicer world this would be to live in.
Even if we could find some compassion, right? I mean, just learn the basic tenets of compassion. I think things would
Compassion.
be.
I mean, when you feel really good about what you're bringing to the table, you're open to other ways of saying things. Others, in culinary, other spices, or another way, another kind of music, or another kind of, tell me about your religion. How do you celebrate this particular holiday? Like right now, there's Ramadan going on, and we have Passover for the Jewish community starting tomorrow. Sunday is Easter Sunday for the Christian community. What a fabulous time of year, not only to celebrate your
Mhm.
own traditions and what's important to you, but also to learn about other cultures, others, and to teach our children that things might be different, not better or worse, just different, and how fun and colorful and exciting, and to celebrate diversity rather than to be afraid of it. Celebrate all the things that everybody from the world brings to the table.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. So what would you say to a parent whose child is being bullied? What are there, I think there's a chapter in your book about that, or at least
Yeah.
it's mentioned in your book. So what are some things we can tell parents or help them to know or do that's going to help their child who's being bullied or having a sexual assault or abuse going on as well?
Okay, first of all, it's really important to have open communication with your child, and then for them to know that you're the safe zone. They can tell you anything. You can't help unless you know. And if anybody threatens them, to come and tell you right away anyway, that everything's fine. Okay, because sometimes somebody will say, oh, if you tell, then I'm going to hurt you or hurt your mother or hurt your father. Now, in communications, I would say open communication, because if you know something like that is going on, then there's something that you can do about it. Again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a parenting expert. From a public relations lens, it's an open communication so that you know as much as possible when things are going on. The other thing is you brief in advance. If something like this happens to you, this is what you do. Here's the plan. In public relations with our clients, we're always preparing them for interviews or events or speaking opportunities or what have you. And we run through all the scenarios, as many as possible. And we also try to teach them to be ready for the unexpected, so that we have a plan in place for what we know and for kind of what we don't know, so that you can kind of roll with it. Now, bullying can come from peers. Bullying can also come from people of authority who are abusing their power, as we all know. And it's really important that your child feels that you are safe enough and feels confident enough in themselves that they will tell you, so that you can do something about it. If you instill self-love in your child and share with them that they are the most amazing person, the sunshine in your life, and that the sun rises and sets wherever they walk, and that we're not going to let somebody who means poorly to decide whether we're going to be happy or sad that day. They don't have that power over us, whether they're a peer or whether they're a teacher or whether they're a coach. If they don't bring the sunshine, then we adjust what we can do, because we can only change what we do, not necessarily what others do. So we have to be so fortified in our self-esteem and self-love that we share with our parents, that we distance ourselves from the negativity, and that we can actually do something demonstrative in order to make our situation better. Now, if it gets to a point where it gets physical or violent, then you might have to go to plan B, and that's kind of up to you. And you'll see what my plan B was in the book.
Fascinating. There's also, what was I thinking? There's also, I swallowed it, darn it. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, what I was going to ask, Marjie, is are you not only a PR parent, but are you a PR spouse as well? Have you decided that has also helped you in that relationship?
I try. I try.
It's a little bit more challenging.
Spouse. Well, listen, communications is communications, and I do my best to use my skill set with whatever relationship I'm having with whomever.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's about kindness and respect. So I try to be kind and respectful to whoever I'm interacting with, but especially my children, because they're my babies.
Yeah. Now, at your book launch this morning, you had, was it the mayor of Jerusalem there?
The deputy mayor.
Deputy mayor of
Yes,
Jerusalem.
charge of international affairs. Her name is Fleur Hassanachem.
Yeah.
Amazing woman.
She seemed to be. Yeah, I really enjoyed her message. Did you do the PR for her campaign or anything like that?
Helped a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
I helped a little bit in the beginning.
I think she mentioned that she'd known you for a while, and perhaps you were friends or went to school together or something like that.
We're in a group of women together that support each other, and an incredible village of women who I'm crazy about, love them to the moon and back. And we hang out.
Yeah. Well, is that something else? Is that what you suggest mothers or parents do? Is they also find groups of people that they hang out with that are in the same boat as them? Do you think that's helpful?
I think you want to be surrounded by people who add the sunshine and raise you up. You've heard this from other people before. Yeah. That's not an original statement by any sense of the word, right. But it's true. You want to be with people who are the wind beneath your wings, to be trite once again. You just, listen, life's too short. Whether you're 10 years old or you're 58 years old, life is too short to get hung up on the darkness. Spend your time searching for the light and surround yourself with people who bring the sunshine.
Mm.
Period. Don't wait decades to get to that point. Don't have such a bandwidth for crap that you're miserable. Find a way to pursue your interests in such a way that you surround yourself with people who want to support you.
Mm.
Simple.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, ladies, we only have about 7 or 8 minutes left, and what a great show. Thank you so much, Marjie, for coming on Life Mastery Radio today. Is there anything that comes to your mind that we missed? Did we skip over something? Is there another message that you might have? I can remember now what I swallowed. I was just fascinated by the fact that before you wrote the book, you got together a group of women and asked them what they want to know, right? Because you had all this knowledge. How do you take all that knowledge unless you have a question to answer? I thought that was fascinating.
Thank you. I mean, the topic idea came from my daughter. Then I had the revelation to Jackie's question earlier. When did I identify that I had used my PR skills to raise my kids? And then the next question was, well, how do I outline my book? And I thought, well, I could do this, I could do that. And I'm like,
Right.
Listen, if you're going to help.
You need to know what
Don't
question
just be
to answer.
random about this. If this sounds like a fun story, maybe they'll like this. No,
Right.
help. Which is why the book, and it's really hopefully my contribution to help make society a little bit better. And the workbook is again free because it's my present from this older mom to all you youngins. Just, go and do the exercise and you'll have an action plan in your hand. And, sometimes you go, well, I want some more help. I don't want to do this by myself. In that particular case, I am open to coaching now because you know what, like my daughter said, we have a motto in our family: if you can help, you should help. So if you need help, I'm here to help. Just reach out, let me know, we'll figure it out, and we'll organize some sort of coaching arrangement for you. So
is that PR coaching? Is that parenting coaching? Or are you just the coach of coaches?
That's funny, Todd. PR parenting coaching.
Okay.
PR parenting coaching. We'll take the exercises and we'll figure out how they best serve your purposes. Again, it's looking through a PR lens and applying the same principles, but maybe what works for you won't work for somebody else. So, and again, I want all of the readers to be the decision makers. I want you to take responsibility and have that control that you need, and teach your children to have that kind of control. Sometimes we have to roll with it and let the other guy be right, even if they're wrong, because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't hurt anybody. And it's really not going to change anything. Let the other guy be right. It really just doesn't matter.
Well, that's humility, right? That's humility. That's something else that we have to learn, and being humble and understanding that what that person believes is what they believe. And I'm not here to judge them.
No. Oh, it happened 3 months ago. No, it didn't. It happened 6 months ago.
It does. What's the difference? Yeah.
You make some of the best faces. I gotta
Sure,
tell
you
you.
want it to be 6 months ago? It was 6 months ago. No, it wasn't. But sure, 6 months ago. No problem. So, and the other thing is that this is a movement. And I really hope that this becomes generational, that our kids pass it on to their kids and so on and so forth. And I think that it's entirely possible if the global community actually bands together to adopt smart communication skills using this tool and starts to communicate more thoughtfully and with positivity. I think that's kind of the key message to this, and that I really hope that it helps make the lives of whoever reads it smoother and helps them to communicate with their children in such a way that the children can benefit as well, not just from PR practices, but also from the superpowers of who is ever reading it. And what's kind of fun is that public relations is a common denominator for an awful lot of
Everything.
professions out there.
Yeah.
So if you know something about PR or sales or marketing or service things, this is going to be something that you'll be able to adopt very easily. And if you know nothing about it, then a whole new world is about to open up to you.
So this may seem like it's either a silly question or a brilliant question, Margie.
Yeah.
Who needs this book?
Anybody who has kids in their lives.
Okay.
Period. Anybody who has kids in their lives. Now, it was originally written as my love letter to today's working mom, but based on the feedback from people who are the early readers, there's something in it for anybody who has kids in their lives. Obviously, dads, teachers, coaches, aunts, uncles, doesn't really matter. If there's a kid in your life and you're interacting with them, then this will give you some additional tools, an additional tool set to have positive communication and help that child to feel better about themselves.
Nice.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Margie, thank you so much for showing up as you today. I hope you'll come back because I think there's so much more that we could talk about. We'll have to find out how well the book is doing and maybe get some of that feedback that you're getting that you could share with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. That's very kind of you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can tell you that in the first 72 hours of the pre-launch, the book hit #1 in 3 different categories on Amazon.
Nice.
Yay.
Very nice.
So how do we get a hold of you? Tell our audience if they want to know more about you, even maybe where to get the book, give them all that info because we don't want to lose that opportunity.
All right, y'all.
Somebody
Listen,
from Israel using Yelp.
Yeah. I'm originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You could take the girl out of Harrisburg,
That's
but not the Harrisburg. out of
Still a
Harrisburg.
long ways away from Texas, too.
True. That's true. So my book portal is www.prfor.life. PR4.life. You can get the book just about anywhere, frankly, but if you want to be nice to me, go onto Amazon, purchase the book on Amazon, and then after you get it and you read it, if you would be kind enough to leave a nice review,
Yes.
I would love that. And then if you do that, send me a message so that I can thank you personally.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And all of those links are on today's show page at www.lifemasteryradio.com. And while you're there, you can see Jackie's book, my book, and links to Margie's book.
Yay.
And if you'd like, follow me on Instagram at Marjie Hadad.
Nice.
Very cool.
Cool.
Jackie, any takeaways?
Oh,
I
lots
think-
of them.
Here's my takeaway. I think you and Margie are cut from the same rug.
I'll take that.
Jackie's my buddy.
That's right.
I can tell you guys have, you can tell your mothers because you have these facial expressions that just speak
Yes.
for themselves,
Yes.
that you don't even have to say words.
It's nice. And are
There
you
you
a
go.
grandma yet, Margie? Are you a
No,
grandma yet? No.
No, my kids are so immersed in their academic studies. Spoiler alert, my daughter's in medical school.
Oh,
And
that'll
my
take a
son
while.
is finishing up two bachelor's degrees at the same time.
Oh my.
And little one's 18, so no, just no.
No.
Well, you will someday, and you'll still get to apply all these principles with your grandchildren. So
Yes, PR grandparenting,
there you
absolutely.
go. The next book.
Oh, thank you again. Thanks, Jackie. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. My biggest hope is that you will tell a friend about the show. Jackie and I have a YouTube channel. All of our shows are there. There's well over 300 various topics, all topics that will help you on your very own life mastery journey. Lastly, please, please, please make it a great day, because just like we learned today, it's all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Happy
Bye.
holidays, everybody.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. Happy Ramadan, Passover, and Easter. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.